Hey, and we're back. We're back here at Blue Jeans Pizza in downtown Blue Ridge, and we love it here on Friday mornings. Beautiful weekend here in Blue Ridge. Come up. I think, Rick, before you leave, do we have Taste of LJ this weekend?
No, Taste of Blue Ridge.
Blue Ridge, wherever?
LJ.
Did I say
We're in Blue Ridge.
Am I in Blue Ridge?
We're in Blue Ridge.
All right, so we have Taste of Blue Ridge.
Taste of Blue Ridge, Saturday night.
Saturday night, Taste of Blue Ridge, Willow Creek. Willow Creek, they have it down there next month, so I thought, Taste of Blue Ridge, Willow Creek, Saturday night. Can't wait for that. State Senator Steve Gooch, how are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning.
Good morning to you. I'm trying to move past my last segment. Did you see the crew I get together with?
It was more fun being here watching it in person than it is watching it on the internet. But this was a great crowd you got here, and it's great to be in Blue Ridge. It's a beautiful day, and it's a beautiful springtime. Where else would you rather be than North Georgia?
The 51st district in general, right?
Well, specifically, yes.
Specifically, the 51st district is the place to be.
That's right.
Tell people before we get too far, because I like to, whether people know it or not, I like to, what is the whip?
You ever watch House of Cards?
Yes.
All right, Frank Underwood.
Now you are the Republican whip for Congress, correct?
No, I'm not in Congress.
I mean for Senate. I apologize, for Congress.
That's right. I'm just picking on you. I'm the majority whip for the state Senate, and somewhat similar to what the whip does in Congress, the House and the Senate and the state Senate and the state House have a whip as well. And so when I talk to a third grade class, I tell them all I have to do is learn to count to 29, because in the Senate we have 56 senators. It requires 29 votes to pass a bill. So if the Republicans have a bill that we really want to pass and that we need to pass, we've got to get the 29 votes. If I feel like there's not an adequate number of votes to pass that bill, then we have to work on that. We have to find out from the other members what their concerns are, why are they going to vote no, or if they're on the fence, they're not confirmed that they would vote for the bill. What is it that's bothering them? What can we do to fix the bill before it gets to the floor of the Senate? We don't want a Republican bill to fail on the Senate floor if it's a good bill. Now, if it's a bad bill, we let it fall, and we've had some to fail.
I said Congress. We were talking nationally right before we changed gears. We're talking about the Georgia State Senate. So the whip is you need to know a bill's coming to the floor. Coordinate the amount of votes. Do we have enough votes to bring it to a vote?
That's right.
When we hear Congressman Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, for example, switching gears there, does he have the votes to bring it to the floor? Then actually that's the same where you're concerned. You're checking to see if you have the votes to bring something to the floor.
Yeah. So I work amongst our colleagues in the caucus, and I deal with them on a daily basis. That's just one of the roles of the whip, but that's an important role because I'm giving feedback to the lieutenant governor, and I'm in all the leadership meetings every day with the lieutenant governor and the pro tem and the majority leader, and we're setting the agenda, and we're looking at the bills that are coming onto the floor the next day. We meet that morning, and we talk about some of the bills that may have some concerns, or if we hear that the Democrats are trying to throw a poison pill amendment on a bill, we try to intercede and get in front of that as well. So I have my ears and my eyes on the ground at all times, trying to pick up intel. What's the Democrats trying to do to hurt our bills? What are some of the other members of the Senate trying to do to amend it on the floor? Is it a good amendment? Is it a bad amendment? And try to be ready for that before we get to the floor, and we don't want to embarrass any of our members.
Last week we had Speaker of the House David Ralston here with us, and our focus, we're in Blue Ridge. You're the 51st District State Senator, and we're in Blue Ridge, rural Georgia. We try to stay focused on that. We understand Atlanta, and we understand you have to work on different bills that are for the whole entire state.
Sure.
And something we hear all too often is the two Georgias. We hear that. So in the rural Georgia, something that I wish would have happened. Now, I'm going to be very candid. I wish would have happened. We had a lot of meetings on it, and I don't think we moved the ball on internet fiber for rural areas in Georgia. And I don't think we really got anywhere on that, did we?
Well, and I'll tell you why. I spearheaded that whole effort.
I know you did.
It started in the Senate. We started with the study committee.
Right.
And we've met all over the state. Now that took place last summer. The bill that we drafted had a lot of different components. The study committee finalized its report last December. I think it had 25 recommendations in the report. We put about 12 or 14 of those recommendations into a piece of legislation that's been drafted, and it's in a committee right now. It's in the Regulated Industries Committee in the Senate. But the bill is very complicated. It deals with a lot of issues, dealing with all of the industry folks, local governments, state governments, universal access fees, public service commission. So it's a big, complicated issue. You can't rush it through and pass it. If you do, you're going to make mistakes. So we're working on it now, and we're going to continue to work on it over the summer. The bill's still a live bill, and we hope to pass it next year. And in the meantime, we're seeing Tennessee and other states around us dealing with the same problem. Rural broadband is a problem all over the country, and we're seeing it become harder and harder for small businesses like yours to be able to sit in a restaurant in Blue Ridge, Georgia, and to be able to broadcast all over the world. Without good internet access, you would be shut down. Exactly. And even at my house in Dahlonega, occasionally I can't watch your show because the internet speeds are so slow. We go into what we call buffering. So your computer locks down and it starts to spin, and it's waiting. By the time it gets back on, I've missed the entire segment at times. So we've got to fix it. Rural health care,
now I know you have to fix it if you're missing segments.
Hey, can we backtrack just a little bit?
Okay, backtrack just a little bit. I'm preparing for this.
2 years ago, I told you when you started this programming that you would one day be bigger than Bill O'Reilly. Did I not?
Yes,
I predicted that.
Yes,
and
you did.
As of yesterday, you have more viewers watching your show than Bill O'Reilly has watching his show on Fox News. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct.
You have made it. You have arrived. The day today, April 21st, 2017, BKP show live has exceeded the number of viewers of that of Bill O'Reilly on Fox News.
You know,
congratulations to you.
I would have held that till my questions were over. I would have thought to myself, I'm going to let him finish the questioning.
Just as you predicted Trump would be our next president,
Thanks, sir.
I predicted that your show would exceed that of Bill O'Reilly.
Is that why we get along?
So we're great.
You know what I did, and I don't care to say it here. You know, jokingly, I told last week, I told Speaker David Roston before we started the interview, I said, don't we have some unfinished business? and I made him tell me, yeah, you called it.
Did he pay you?
Did I tell you? Did I tell you?
No.
I didn't tell you Trump was going to win.
Oh, I heard that. I heard that.
How many times did I
Where
tell
did I hear that?
Huh?
I think Katie told me that once.
No, Katie didn't tell you that. Now, let me say this.
More
because
serious.
We're staying, well, that's okay. You did.
Back to broadband, though.
You did say 2 years ago, you said one day you will be bigger than Bill O'Reilly.
Absolutely.
You did.
Absolutely. You heard it. You heard it here, right?
All right. So,
broadband is an important issue. We've got to get local governments, state governments, private entities. Everybody's got to work on this over the summer and the fall, and we've got to pass this bill next year, but we have to perfect it. It's not ready to be voted on, but we need input from people like you and others that are
Senator,
listening.
I'm going to say to you, you know, I like the communication. And you and I have had a relationship for quite some time, and I think you know, not joking around, I think you know, there's times you'll get a phone call, and I will tell you if I'm not excited about a piece of legislation.
Absolutely.
We've discussed that. And I'm just going to say very nicely, I know, and that's why I don't like to just leave it out there, I know you had the study groups, I know you had the listening sessions, they were great, you really did put a lot of information, you heard what everybody had to say. I would say, it's a ball that has to get moved.
Absolutely.
And for rural Georgia, it has to get moved, as well as Atlanta's trying to do something in transportation,
right,
or Atlanta's trying to whatever, and I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to go there right now, but casino gambling or whatever. For the mom and dad that are taking their kid down to Chick-fil-A, we'll use it in Dahlonega because they have Wi-Fi.
Absolutely.
To do homework,
yep,
it's got to get moved.
It's a problem. My children come home at night, 2nd, 4th, and 8th grade. 3 boys. They have homework that requires them to get on the internet in order to do their homework. Our schools aren't given textbooks. The textbooks that they do bring home are 15 and 20 years old.
Right.
They have social studies books that are 20 years old. That's a history book. That's not a social studies book. I mean, we've got to either get back to bringing home textbooks, or we've got to fix internet access.
Teachers are actually emailing assignments.
Absolutely.
And
Google Classrooms. Every one of my.
If you can't check.
That's right.
If you can't check your email, you're in trouble.
That's right.
Okay, let's go to rural healthcare. Okay, we talked about that with the speaker. I want to talk to you about that also. You were present a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago now, at the ribbon cutting for Piedmont Mountainside emergency room services there in Gilmer County that is housed in the building where North Georgia Medical Center Hospital used to be. This is a standalone emergency facility. What did you see in that facility? What talks have you been in? And what other healthcare areas in the 51st are you concerned about, are you hearing about where rural hospitals are concerned?
Sure. First of all, there is a crisis in healthcare. It's not only in rural Georgia, but it's in rural America. It's in urban America as well. You talk about it all the time. The Obamacare legislation, I believe, pushed that crisis even deeper than what it was. Healthcare costs have skyrocketed. Healthcare premiums have gotten unaffordable. Employees are being told they have to pay more of their share in order to keep their healthcare coverage at work. This is a crisis for people. When your mortgage payment is less than your insurance premium, there's a problem. And that's what we're seeing all over our country. But these local hospitals in Ellijay, Blue Ridge, Blairsville, Dahlonega, just about every part of my district has one. They're in a crisis mode, especially the one in Ellijay, which closed down last year. The one in Dahlonega was in a crisis mode. Someone bought it last year. We don't know what the future of that healthcare facility is, but we know we have to have good health care. We have to have access to an ER. We have to have quick access to a trauma center, which would be in Atlanta or in Gainesville. And so we've got to keep those networks together. And so what I saw in Ellijay a couple weeks ago was a beautiful renovated ER. That thing was top notch. It was state of the art, all brand new equipment and facilities. And that shows what a commitment that Piedmont has put into Gilmer County. So we are grateful to that. We worked, the speaker and I have met on that multiple times. We met with the parties involved, and we stressed to all of them how important it was that we keep that facility open. Now, hopefully the market will, again, someday be better to where a full-blown hospital will operate there, but that is a private sector decision that's driven by economics. I'm not sure the economics are there today to successfully operate a small hospital like the one in Ellijay or Dahlonega. Chestatee Regional Hospital in Dahlonega was owned by the same company that owned the one in Gilmer County, so I fear that the same thing could have happened in Lumpkin County. Fortunately, someone did step in last year and bought that, but they paid a lot of money for it, and we still don't know today what their future plans are. So we're concerned about it. And we've seen hospitals all over Georgia close down. I think the hospital here in Blue Ridge is in a much better financial position than the other two were. The one in Union County, Union General, is in a better financial position. So we're monitoring those. We want to continue to stay close to all of them and do what we can as a state to make sure we have good policies in place that won't create more of a financial burden on those hospitals. So some of the legislation that was passed this year will help some of our hospitals in Georgia, but not all of them. Most of this legislation was geared toward nonprofits. Chestatee Regional Hospital was a for-profit hospital, so that legislation we passed would not benefit them. If it's a not-for-profit hospital, it would. So we still have to help all those hospitals we can, but we have to continue to monitor those and work with those, and we'll do that.
Again, like I said, we're trying to stay here, folks. For some of you out there, we have several viewers in the Atlanta market, and we appreciate you very much. But last week and this week, the state senator for this district and then the state representative for this district, we are trying to stay on rural Georgia issues. Economic development in rural Georgia getting back to what I call, and we hear sometimes, the two different Georgias, the rural in Atlanta, economic development in these areas requires internet, healthcare, those kind of things. So, I mean, what else can we do to develop the rural areas of Georgia, you know, that we're not doing, or what you're looking to do next, or
Right.
develop what we're talking about?
Well, it's complicated. I don't think you can force companies to move to places that they don't want to be in. So
Okay.
let's take manufacturing, for example. Caterpillar. They created a beautiful facility over toward the Athens area to where they build these brand new bulldozers. It's a great place to work, 500-600 jobs. I don't know that you'll ever see a factory like that up here in the mountains of North Georgia, and I'm not sure you want to, because you've got to have rail, you got to have interstate highways, you have to have a distribution system that would complement those kinds of factories up here. We don't have the terrain for that. So what we have to do is we have to focus on economic development that complements our area. Look outside this door at beautiful downtown Blue Ridge. This is what people want to come to visit. They want to come live here. They bring money, they spend money, they go home. You know, they're not building factories here, but they're small businesses here, and that's what we have to go after. We have to try to recruit the small businesses, 50 and fewer employees, that doesn't have a huge economic impact on the, environmental impact on the streams and the mountains. You don't want to cut the mountains down and tear up the beautiful scenery that we have here, but you've got to bring those jobs back to rural Georgia. And so you've got to look out there and see what we can do here locally to help complement downtown Blue Ridge and McKaysville and Ellijay and all these small towns. People are moving out of the cities. We know for a fact that the millennials want to be back in the cities. They want to be closer to the downtown metropolitan areas, because that's where the jobs are basically have been forming lately. That's where the activities are, the recreational opportunities for younger people are back down in the city. But the retirees are moving out of Atlanta. They're moving out of the suburbs. They're moving to the mountains. People from Florida are coming up here in the Ellijay and Blue Ridge, and they're buying their homes, permanent and second homes. And so they're going to spend money. That's economic development. So we've got to capitalize on those different trades and all of that stuff that comes with economic development through tourism. That's our #1 industry, that and agriculture. So we have to capitalize on our assets and not worry about the things that we may not be good at or that we may not ever be able to get, like the big General Motors plants or the Kia plants. Well, I don't think people up here want that.
I think you're 100% correct in the area. I don't want to say we don't want the Kia plant, okay? And obviously Caterpillar and Kia, they want to be on 85. They have
Absolutely.
to have, they have to have access. But in all due respect, Senator, where you sit used to be Levi Strauss.
Yep.
Okay, and they used to manufacture Levi jeans.
Yep.
And that did not change the mountains and so forth. And don't take this wrong, because and then if you travel south 15 miles, you realize at one time, if memory serves me right, there was like 5 factories running at one time in Gilmer County. And this goes back in the 70s and 80s, carpet mills and stuff like that, and it didn't affect. So I think we'll never return to Levi Strauss being here and carpet mills. I don't think we'll return to that. But there is a possibility we could return to startups where somebody brings 20 employees, 25. And those people want good schools, good recreation, good healthcare facilities, and obviously internet and technology to be able to run a small business.
You said it, technology. Internet,
would you like me to email all those
small
things?
Business.
Now, folks, if I sound, I don't want to be disrespectful. We know each other pretty well, right? So
we can also call Lisa in if we have to.
I know you didn't go there. I know you did not go there. Okay, well, I remember.
But listen, I work for economic development as my day job.
That's why we're just right.
Everybody wants jobs, and we just created some new jobs. The private sector does. The government doesn't do a good job of creating jobs, and there should.
Correct.
So we have to create a conducive environment to try to attract those industries to Georgia. We're the #1 state to do business 4 years in a row. Hopefully we'll hit that again this year. That has an impact in North Georgia as well. When Atlanta does well, everybody does well. And so we want that benefit to splash up here into the mountains. You know, so we have to continue to work harder and harder. Now, the speaker has created this rural council to look at rural Georgia, and I think that's a great move forward. And we're going to get some good ideas from that, and I'm sure that when they get finished with their work, there could possibly be some policies or some legislation that would come from that. Part of that already has started with my Internet Act bill. It's called the FIBRE Act. And so we have to take legislation like that and other pieces of legislation and make sure that rural Georgia isn't forgotten, because we've seen that divide get even wider in the last 10 years with the millennials moving back to the cities and the retirees moving to the mountains. So we have an issue and we have a concern, and we have to continue to work on it.
Well, here at FetcherNews.com, you know, we're going to stay, we do have viewers all across the state, and we appreciate that, and we have people that go to our website, but we want to stay focused on the actual counties that are on the website at Talk Rural Georgia when we get these opportunities. I have two things because it's time for the Katie Sassine Show. Tomorrow is the 9th District Republican Convention. Are you going?
I'm going to Dillard tonight. You know, they have a big spread of food up there, and I don't want to miss it.
So you're going to be Republican?
I'll be up there tonight.
I got a call. It's in Rayburn, right?
Yes, sir.
Rayburn,
Dillard House.
9th District Republican Convention. I received a phone call yesterday, and it invited me to come up, and actually come out of the congressman's office, invited me up tomorrow at about 10:30 in the morning. I usually don't go, and you know why? There's nothing makes me any more nervous than to be in a room full of Republicans like that. That just shoots my nerves. That's a rough room, man. I'm sorry, friend.
Hey, there's some good Trump supporters up there.
Are they?
Yes,
that
sir.
may be enticing me to bring me in.
You need to be there.
Okay, because a room full of Republicans makes me a nervous wreck.
Bring that camera.
Right.
Bring that camera.
Now, the second thing we're going to say, because we're going to close.
All right.
Lieutenant Governor presides over the Senate. Did I get that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle has made a decision to run for governor.
Has he really?
Come on, I got to wrap this up. He's made a decision to run for governor. Is that correct?
I would say you will know more on April 30th. If you're anywhere near the Infinity Center in Gwinnett County, about 4 o'clock, you might know a little more then on what his plans are.
Okay, so
that's just a subtle hint.
Just saying, right?
Just a subtle hint.
So if he runs for governor, are you staying put? Or you got other aspirations? I have to close.
Last Friday I watched this show when the speaker was on here, and I believe there was a similar question asked of him, but you didn't ask him if he was going to stay put. You asked him if he's going to run for governor.
So I changed it up on you?
Why didn't you ask him if he's going to run for lieutenant governor?
Wow.
He used to be in the Senate.
So you mean I should have went for lieutenant? I said governor, there's always, what about you?
No, I'm not running for governor.
Lieutenant governor?
No, I have no plans to run for lieutenant governor or governor. I'm going to give you the answer somewhat like he gave you. I love Blue Ridge. I love LJ and Blairsville, Cleveland, Dahlonega.
So you like the 51st District?
I love the 51st District and the people that live in it. I want to continue to serve through my term of office. And on a serious note, none of us, I don't think, should go into public office thinking if I'm the county commissioner today, I may be the House member or the senator next time, and eventually I'll be governor. I don't think you should run for office with the plan to run for higher office. I never planned to run for the state senate, but I did work to become the sole commissioner of Lumpkin County 14 years ago, or actually 17 years ago. In 2000 I ran. I never knew what I was going to be doing 10, 15 years later, but it's an opportunity to serve your community, and I take that seriously, and that's an honor and it's a privilege for me to be your voice in Atlanta. And so when I feel like I need to get out of the Senate and that I've done all I can do, or the people want something else, and I should listen to that voice and I should look at either going home or doing other things, but I have no other plans at this time.
You're going to go down and help do a little campaigning in the 6th District?
I like Karen Handel. I've known her since she and I were both county commissioners together. She was in Fulton County, I was in Lumpkin County. I've known her a long time. For 17 years, I've watched her work. She's dedicated, she's a hard-working lady, loves her husband, and she's a great American, and I think she'll make a great congressman, and I would support her 100%.
Well, Senator, I appreciate you being on the show, and you have been watching for a couple of years. You always come up after the session is over and you talk to us about things in the session. Want to have you back real soon, and I appreciate your kind words, and I appreciate when I get those text messages from the Capitol and it just says coming through loud and clear, and I like that. I appreciate
That's
it.
right.
But now, have you been telling your friends down at the Capitol?
People know about BKP. I'm telling you, the word's getting out. Your numbers have already exceeded Bill O'Reilly. Remember that. You're on.
That's a good note
you're on
to
the
leave
radar.
on. I'm your host, BKP, and thank you very much. We're just a minute late here. It's now time for the Katie Sassine Show. After these messages, stay here live. Katie Sassine Show. Take us to break.
At Days Chevrolet in Jasper, we make everything better. It all starts with a huge new Chevy selection. Then we heap on the discount.